I just remembered this and I need to tell you, did you know that during the 2024 elections, Kamala Harris was advertising in swing states to left-leaning voters that she was calling for a ceasefire in Gaza and she was pro-Palestinian, but advertising at the same time to right-leaning voters that she was pro-Israel and unconditionally supportive of them? Do you know who else was doing that during the 2024 elections? Elon Musk. Remember how he gave Trump basically $250 million in ad spending to help him win the election in exchange for a cabinet seat? Elon Musk was in Michigan advertising to Muslims, attack ads about Kamala Harris, doing the opposite, advertising to Arabs and Muslims, where there's the largest Arab American population in Dearborn, Michigan, and Michigan in general, that Harris was pro-Israel and unconditionally supportive, and he was advertising to pro-Israel people who were likely to vote for Harris that she was pro-Palestinian and wanted a ceasefire. Our leaders are scammers. We're run by evil Zionists committing war crimes. They manipulate us, use us to get our votes, manipulating with the blood of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians whom they are responsible for slaughtering. And they trick us. Do you remember this, actually? I think it was about 2 weeks before Election Day. Biden and Harris came out and said they're reviewing our use of U.S. weapons to slaughter Palestinians in Gaza and deciding whether or not we should do an arms embargo. But guess what? The deadline, right, when the report came back, was 2 weeks after the election. They tried to do a bait and switch with an arms embargo because in their minds, they thought, if we say this, we don't actually have to do it. Of course, we know they didn't do that. But they tried to get progressive and human beings who are aware of how broken, evil, and twisted our system is, to vote for them. To want them to stay in power because they are, thinking about an arms embargo, saying that they want to do one. And guess what happened 2 weeks after Election Day? They said, there is no evidence that Israel's blocking aid and using mass starvation as a war crime, or that they're using U.S. weapons to commit war crimes. And you know who went into Congress to lie about these reports? Because there were reports within USAID and the State Department that were done, before this bait and switch started, that confirmed that Israel was using aid as a weapon of war, as a weapon of mass starvation against the Palestinian people trapped in Gaza. And the State Department had found that, I think it was like over a dozen or dozens of documented circumstances in Gaza that U.S. weapons and bombs were used to commit war crimes. War crimes under international law, and our State Department had this report that said that, and Antony Blinken, the Secretary of State, was, in charge of reporting on, the results of this bait and switch and the results of these reports to Congress. And he went up there and said that there was no indication that our weapons were being used in contrary to international law. But he knew the report existed. He read it. He lied about the contents. But we knew the bait and switch didn't work. We knew that they were lying. I said this. I said it when it came out in the news. I said they're lying. It's a bait and switch. And lo and behold, it was. I never made a follow-up video. Actually, I think I did make one. When they came out and were like, no arms embargo. I did make one. But this is what went on. And then we now have, what's his name? Matthew Miller. He was the State Department spokesperson under Biden. And he came out this week. He's been talking to the media. It was his job as the spokesperson of the State Department to deny all of this to the press, which he did happily, passionately, for his entire time overseeing the genocide of the Palestinian people. So he's talking to the media. He's been saying a bunch of different things. I've covered some of them. What I just saw, I just heard him admit in quite a detailed manner how, working with the Israeli government to do this genocide, the Biden administration knew that Netanyahu was personally tanking every single deal. And Matthew Miller admitted that the Palestinian resistance was justified in rejecting some of the ceasefire deals where, for example, they signed onto one with Israel This was in spring of 2024, where Biden was talking about a red line with Rafah, right? And then they signed this, agreed to this, and then Israel was like, we're going to go and bomb Rafah anyways, and they did. And Biden's red line was crossed. Did he do a thing? No. They still lied. They lied the whole time. And then this spring in 2025, there was also the revelation where an Israeli official came out and admitted and bragged how proudly to the world that the United States administration under the Biden-Harris rule never once demanded a ceasefire now. It was every Democrat, every single one, got up on that stage during the campaign and shielded for Harris. Bernie Sanders, AOC, the progressives, all of them, except like Ilhan Omar. I love her, by the way. Got up on that stage and lied to our faces and said that they were working tirelessly for a ceasefire. That's a direct quote from AOC. And it's like a almost direct quote from Bernie Sanders. And of course, Harris and Biden both said this. It was all a lie. They are manipulating us. These are the most evil people. They're bringing our country into the ground. I did not even mean to talk this long, but as you guys know, Larry Ellison is poised to take control of TikTok. He's a Trump ally, Zionist billionaire. He once offered Netanyahu a board seat at the company he's in charge of, Oracle, and is currently trying to acquire TikTok, CNN. He owns CBS and Paramount, and he's got, if you add in his son and the rest of his family, who also have been buying up a bunch of media companies, they're building a monopoly on information in the United States. So please, I beg you, if you enjoy my work and if you love hearing me talk, go to my link in bio and follow me, subscribe to me for free on Substack so you can get my future work directly to your inbox. Thank you, and free Palestine.